All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to explore a really profound and honestly, a kind of paradoxical idea. We're going to reframe one of the most painful relationship dynamics imaginable, not as just some random, terrible luck, but as a deeply meaningful, maybe even necessary, part of our own psychological journey.
And this quote, right here, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to discuss. The self never allows us to meet anyone by accident. Let that sink in for a moment. It suggests that on some deeper level, our psyche is actually orchestrating these encounters, scripting these intense dramas that our conscious mind would absolutely run away from. It's an invitation to look past the surface of our pain and ask, what on earth is the hidden purpose here? So, first things first, we have to step into what we're calling the archetypal drama. See, when we talk about the empath and the narcissist, we're not just throwing around popular psychology labels. From a Jungian perspective, these are ancient, powerful forces, timeless patterns that are playing out not just in the world, but, and this is key, inside of each of us.
And if you only see the labels, you're just skimming the surface, right? To really get what's going on, you have to be willing to dive into that deep ocean, into the symbolic, mythic language of our own unconscious mind. It's about moving beyond just pointing fingers and into a world of much, much deeper meaning.
Now, and this is really important. This perspective doesn't for 1 second deny the pain involved. In fact, that's exactly where it starts. The suffering of the empath in this kind of dynamic, it's often just immense. It's this feeling of being completely bled dry, all in the hope that if you just give a little more, love will finally be returned.
I mean, does any of this sound familiar? I feel too much. I give too much. These are the things you hear over and over from someone who's caught in this trap. They see themselves as the one carrying all the light, and the other person as the one trying to snuff it out. It's a powerful story of victimhood, and let's be clear, those wounds are absolutely real.
In this comparison, it really shows how the empath and the narcissist are like two sides of the same coin. Look at this. One loses self in the other, while the other sees only their reflection. One confuses compassion with self-erasure, while the other demands endless adoration. They are these perfect, tragic mirrors for each other. One can't see themselves at all, and the other can only see themselves. It's this collision that creates such a powerful and, yeah, painful dance.
But then, what happens when, just through sheer suffering and exhaustion, a new idea starts to creep in? This is the pivot point of our whole explainer. This is where everything you thought you knew about this dynamic is about to get turned completely upside down.
This quote just nails the feeling, doesn't it? A thunderclap across the soul. That's the moment of revelation. It's not about suddenly saying the cruelty didn't happen or that the pain wasn't real. No way. It's about realizing that underneath all that surface-level drama, a kind of hidden alchemy, a really profound spiritual lesson was actually taking place the whole time.
And this is the question that changes everything. What if this encounter wasn't just a wound? What if it was an initiation? What if the person you saw as your greatest tormentor was, completely without their knowledge or intent, actually your greatest teacher? The answer to that question lies in one of Carl Jung's biggest ideas, the concept of the shadow self. The basic idea is that the narcissist isn't just some random monster who showed up in your life. They are a living, breathing embodiment of the parts of yourself that you have refused to look at. So the shadow is basically everything we've pushed down into the basement of our psyche. The stuff we don't like about ourselves, like our own selfishness, but also sometimes really positive things, like our own power or ambition. And here's the kicker. When we don't own these parts of ourselves consciously, our psyche has this very clever and often very painful way of making us meet them out in the world, in the form of the people we attract into our lives. So the narcissist's behavior, it mercilessly shines a spotlight on your own shadow. Their relentless need for attention, it mirrors your hidden pattern of abandoning yourself. Their total disregard for your boundaries, it perfectly highlights your inability to say no. They're playing the role of a thief, sure, but the treasure they're stealing is one you left completely unguarded. And this, right here, is the core idea. Every single one is a mirror. Is it a distorted, funhouse mirror? Yes. Is it painful to look at? Absolutely. But it is still reflecting something that lies hidden within your own shadow. And it's only when you dare to look into that painful mirror that you can finally start to see and reclaim the pieces of yourself that you've left behind.
So this whole journey, it actually follows a classic ancient path of initiation. It's not just random suffering.
It's a process. It starts with the pain, the raw experience. Then comes the revelation, that thunderclap moment of seeing the teacher in the tormentor. And finally, all that pain gets transformed. It gets alchemized into an initiation into a stronger, more whole version of you.
So you see, this journey isn't just about getting away from a toxic person. It's about a profound inner shift. It's about moving from being a fragmented victim to becoming a sovereign, whole individual. I mean, just look at this shift. Before, you're possessed by the other's needs. You're giving from a place of total emptiness. Afterwards, you're rooted in the self, and any giving you do comes from a place of fullness. You go from confusing sacrifice with love to practicing true discernment. It is literally the journey from victim to sovereign. And this entire process, it actually has a name in Jungian psychology. It's called individuation. It's the lifelong journey of becoming who you are always meant to be. It's not about being perfect, it's about becoming whole by finally integrating all the different parts of yourself, both the light and the shadow.
The myth of Persephone is such a perfect analogy here. Remember, she gets dragged into the underworld against her will. She's a total victim, but through that terrible descent, she becomes the queen of the underworld. She gains sovereignty over a realm she never even knew existed. The narcissist drags you down into the underworld of your own shadow so that you can finally learn to rule it.
And the results of this journey, the fruits of this wholeness, are so real and tangible. Your empathy is no longer a weakness. It's rooted in strength. You hold your boundaries without feeling guilty about it. And because the lesson has finally been learned, your psyche doesn't need to keep repeating the same painful pattern. You start attracting relationships based on actual, mutual respect.
Wow, what a powerful way to wrap up this whole alchemical process. The narcissist was the flame, but you are the gold that emerged. That relationship was the crucible, that intense, painful fire that felt like it was going to destroy you. But from this new perspective, you can see that it was the very fire needed to purify you, to burn away everything that wasn't truly you, and to forge the indestructible gold of your true, integrated self. So, we end with this. Instead of only asking, why did this person hurt me? This perspective invites a much deeper, more powerful question. What was my own soul trying to teach me through this incredibly painful encounter? What part of myself was I being forced to finally reclaim? The answer to that question, well, that's where the real healing and the real sovereignty begins.